Pakistan yet again misused the international platform at the United Nations to push its baseless and inflammatory rhetoric against India, showing its obsession with the Kashmir issue. In a desperate attempt to deflect from its own internal failures, Pakistan continues to raise Kashmir despite being called out for nurturing terrorism. India's sharp rebuttal at the UN laid bare Pakistan's hypocrisy, exposing its long history of sponsoring cross-border terrorism. As Pakistan's economy crumbles and its own challenges mount, it continues to distract the world rather than addressing its crumbling state. We have a report. Once again, Pakistan utilized the international stage to promote unfounded and malicious allegations against India, a pattern consistent with its past behavior and persistent focus on India. Recently, during the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif raised the Kashmir issue once again, attempting to draw international attention. But India swiftly condemned these remarks, calling them hypocrisy at its worst.
For such a country to speak about violence anywhere is hypocrisy at its worst.
India's first secretary to the UN, Bhavika Manglanandan, delivered a powerful rebuttal, pointing out Pakistan's track record of cross-border terrorism.
Pakistan should realize that cross-border terrorism against India will inevitably invite consequences.
She highlighted Pakistan's involvement in violent acts that have repeatedly targeted India's sovereignty and security.
Our stand is clear. Pakistan has long employed cross-border terrorism as a weapon against its neighbors. It has attacked our parliament, our financial capital Mumbai, marketplaces, and pilgrimage routes. The list is long. For such a country to speak about violence anywhere is hypocrisy at its worst. It is even more extraordinary for a country with a history of rigged elections to talk about political choices, that too in a democracy. The real truth is that Pakistan covets our territory and, in fact, has continuously used terrorism to disrupt elections in Jammu and Kashmir, an inalienable and integral part of India. We know that Pakistan...
Manglanandan emphasized that Pakistan has been the orchestrator of several major terror attacks on Indian soil, from the 1993 Bombay blasts to the 2019 Pulwama attack. India has been a consistent target of terror groups nurtured and supported by forces in Islamabad. These attacks, which include the 2001 Parliament attack, the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks and others, have not only cost hundreds of lives but have also inflicted immense damage to India's infrastructure and security. Despite these provocations, India has continued to fortify its counter-terrorism efforts. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, in his address to the UNGA, reinforced India's stance on Pakistan's cross-border terrorism. He asserted that the only issue between the two nations is the return of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir to India.
A dysfunctional nation, coveting the lands of others, must be exposed and must be countered. We heard some bizarre assertions from it at this very forum yesterday. So let me make India's position perfectly clear. Pakistan's cross-border terrorism policy will never succeed, and it can have no expectation of impunity. On the contrary, actions will certainly have consequences. The issue to be resolved between us is now only the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory by Pakistan. and of course, the abandonment of Pakistan's long-standing attachment to terrorism.
Pakistan's repeated efforts to raise the Kashmir issue at the UN are widely seen as a strategy to deflect attention from its domestic crisis. The country is grappling with severe economic and political turmoil created by its own failed diplomacy. India's strong stance underscores the futility of Pakistan's attempts to internationalize the Kashmir issue. It is time for Pakistan to focus on solving its own internal problems and contribute to peace and stability in the region, rather than spreading falsehoods at international forums. India's message to the world is clear that there can be no tolerance for terrorism, and Pakistan's support for these actions will face the consequences. The Kashmir issue, as far as India is concerned, has only one solution: the return of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir to its rightful place.